YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here for Throwback Thursday, and I was going to bring you the next battle on the historical battles, but managed to screw it up by getting Saigo Takamori killed at the last second, and thus ending a long battle in the wrong way, and didn't want to show you that because that would have been disappointing. So instead I decided to show you an online land battle I decided to fight in Classic Shogun 2. I am really not that good at the multiplayer in this game, so my work's probably going to be a little bit sloppy. Wasn't sure what kind of army to pick, so I usually play with the leadership general because I don't have the skills necessary to handle a melee gen or a bow gen as far as being able to micromanage my army, and I prefer to have the high morale offered by the leadership general and potential for stand and fight if needed, though it is a pretty dangerous thing to try and use properly. So here we're playing on the Kansai Wood, and I'll introduce you to my army in just a second. There's two dojos. One is the shrine, or yeah, two dojos. One's the shrine, and the other is the farmhouse. So farmhouse increases the speed of all the units by a decent amount. It's good if you plan on kiting, and the shrine, of course, is going to boost your morale. The morale of my men's already going to be pretty high. So I've got 5 Naginata attendants. 1 is pushing the farmhouse, 4 guarding my Matchlocks and main army over here. I've got a long Yari Ashigaru, a Matchlock Samurai, Matchlock Monk, 3 Nodachis. I believe that all are level 2 veterans, so they just have some boost to their attack. I got my leadership gen, which I believe has points in melee as well, so it's not a full leadership gen. And then I've got, and let's see, yeah, I think that's about it. So cavalry-wise, I have 2 Yari Cav veterans, and then I've got a Katana Cav and a Warrior Monk Cav. My opponent obviously has a bow general, and he's firing at my Yari Cav with it, which is bad. And then I brought 3, just 3 light Cavs. So I have a lot of cavalry because I didn't want to get in a position where my opponent would end up with more cavalry than me, and I would end up having a hard time getting to their guns because everybody brings guns in this game. It's actually frustrating. I don't dislike Matchlocks and Shogun 2 entirely. I mean, they play an important role in the game, but I hate the fact that every army needs to have guns in it, basically, in order to be successful. It's not a 100% true statement, but it's basically a true statement. Matchlocks are just too accurate on this game, and they reload too fast. I mean, that's all there is to it. So there's no way a Matchlock is hitting anybody at 100 meters unless it's just dumb luck. And so that was one of the things that I always disliked about Shogun 2, was the fact that Matchlocks were just too powerful. And bows didn't end up playing much, if any, of a role in the game. People will use a bow general and occasionally a Daikyu samurai, but otherwise bows just really become quite worthless. So my opponent is taking some pot shots at me with his bow general. It's fine. He's not doing any damage right now that's irreparable. I don't care him shooting at Nagi attendants or running Matchlocks, stuff like that. He's not going to get enough kills to make it worth his ammo, I don't think. So I'm more than happy to let him take those shots. His army's all hidden in the woods, and he had Yari Cav over here at the farmhouse, whereas I had a foot unit that can actually capture it, so I'm using those Nagi attendants to capture it. And he's sending now a Matchlock and a Nodachi Sam to take it back. And in my mind, now again, I don't know Shogun 2 very well, but I saw this as a mistake. I was like, that is way too many things to send over to undo a farmhouse, which honestly doesn't matter because I think he played Bandit Horse Thieves on me, so I already have a speed impediment to my Cav. And anyway, I think it's going to hurt him. And his morale was hurting bad, by the way, too, because I played World Weary, and he's got a bow gen, and right now I am starting to cap the shrine. So my opponent's in big trouble. There's going to be a morale difference here. I'm really liking the position I'm in. I'm on this hill. He can't attack me. If he wants to keep me from capturing the shrine, he's going to have to move forward or waste arrows with his bow general. Either one is not going to be advantageous for him. So at the moment, I'm liking the position I'm in. I cap the farmhouse, and then I can just run into the woods with this Nagi attendant. He's not going to be able to find it or catch it with these 2 units, and as soon as he caps it and leaves, I just recap it. But right now I have the advantage of the fact that he's got a Nodachi and a Matchlock Warrior Monk away from the main engagement, and so I'm going to use this. Now here he puts his light cavalry in the circle to keep me from capping the shrine. That's fine, but it's really just a delay more than anything, and I'm sneaking a light cav around in the woods up here. I want to sneak it around and potentially get a run at his bow general, though my opponent has a considerable amount of light cavalry of his own. So, not really sure how that'll work out for me in the end. And the one thing I am a little concerned about is he has a lot of spears, and that's going to make my Warrior Monk Cav and my Katana Cav particularly difficult to use, because they're going to be best against soft targets like skirmishers, bow general, swords, that kind of thing. They're not going to be so great against other cavalry units. Here he pushes a Yari Samurai up. Yari Samurai are a decent unit. If they have plenty of defense, they're good against cav. They're fast. They can play a role on the battlefield, but for me, I've had a hard time using them properly, and so I leave them out of a lot of my armies. Look at this here, even more cavalry of his that I'm pulling off. See, I've got his general's attention, and I'm using this light cav over here to threaten his matchlock, and it's spreading out his forces even further. And when it comes to getting forces spread out, that would actually leave me in an advantageous position, and I see this, and I go ahead and start pushing my forces off the hill. I'm a little disorganized, but I don't think that my opponent really has the proper forces here to punish me for this, because he's spread out all over the map. And he's going to fire at my monks, but they're in single line and running, so this is again the trouble with bows. Bows are extremely inaccurate, basically, when they're on the move, and matchlocks are extremely accurate. It's something that I've hated about Shogun 2. Here I'm just going to sacrifice this light cav to keep his general from firing while I move forward, because he'll have to move back and go into spear protection. I kind of keep switching back what I want to do with it, but it's fine. I'll just sacrifice it. It's basically dead anyway. I have enough cavalry left as it is. So yeah, and then this light cav I pulled out on this flank, and then look, I've got 3 of his cav following me, including 2 Great Guard. So I'm going to pull them away from the fight. So at this point, I've pulled all of his units away from the fight, and my opponent really doesn't want to engage me at this point, but that's what I'm going to seek. I'm going to seek an all-out open engagement, though I do start to get a little too far ahead of myself. And I notice this, and here in a minute I'm going to pull my men back. You're going to see me do so there. So I'm going to pull back, make sure that I'm completely grouped, make sure my cavalry is ready to support, and kind of rethink my plan for a second. I have my opponent in a pretty tough position. He's having to pull these units back, and that's going to allow me to move this Naginata attendant back down here and recap the farmhouse as well. So my opponent's in a tough position. I have the ability to keep the shrine capped, and I also have the ability to keep the farmhouse capped. Again, my cavalry got a little bit too close to enemy position, so I'm gonna have to pull it back. He's pushing forward with the Yari Ashigaru. I was microing this Naginata attendant down off the hill. Yeah, there we can see I'm gonna retreat my men. Not gonna let him get caught by the spears there, even though it's not beyond me to let such a thing happen. I'm gonna push his spears back with my Matchlock warrior monk. So at this point, my opponent's got his cav back. He did catch my light cav, which is fine. Again, it was just a light cav, and it kept his cav busy for a moment, allowing me to come out and get in position. So at this point, I'm going to be approaching through the woods, which means that my opponent's matchlock fire will be obstructed by trees and terrain. And if I just lead with my Naginata attendants, a couple of them, I can absorb his matchlock fire, get my Nodachi into the fight. And one thing I've noticed is that in a straight-up melee engagement, I should hold the advantage. I hit him with the untrained Fugu Cook. I think he hit me with it as well, but I still have 18 attack on my Nodachis. So I've got a better scenario here, plus my guys have increased morale for all samurai units due to a retainer I played, plus I have the shrine, plus I have a melee general, so see 16 morale on my samurai. And again, he's shooting arrows at my matchlock monks. I'll just pull back. My opponent spent a lot of arrows with his general, and his general has the snipe ability even, because he can fire whilst hidden in the woods. But it's really not going to help him a whole lot. Right now I'm just kind of calculating my attack. I wish I had the stuff to draw for you in Rome 2, but assessing the situation, what I see here is that I can use a Nagi attendant to screen out his cavalry here, and screen out his cavalry here, and it'll assist me in the fight, and then these guys are going to screen my main line attack. They'll absorb any matchlock fire charges, and then I'll follow them up with my Nodachi, and then I'm supporting them with my Katana Cav, General, and Monk Cav, and then I'll take my Light Cav and a Yari Cav up here to pin down these guys. Really, all I want to do is just win the infantry fight before my opponent's cavalry can play any role. And you can see me taking 2 Yari Cav this direction, and again, see how I'm screening with my Nagi attendants? It gets the attention of his units. This Yari Samurai gets tagged by Nodachis. It's going to get destroyed, and again, my attendants soak up the fire from his matchlocks, plus we're in the forest, and I'm able to get good charges and good engagements everywhere. My opponent did get the better of me in that charge with my fire cav because I wasn't paying attention, so I wasted a fire cav. But my Nagi attendants are going to get into the fight, and then I'm going to rear charge him with a Yari cav. And then out here, I intercept his great guards with a Nagi attendant in my 2. He shouldn't have taken this engagement because I have support nearby. But in the mainline engagement, you can see that my Nodachi are cutting their way through his men. He does have a Yari Ashigaru and Spear Wall here, but it's also getting shot by my matchlocks. And then I have my Nodachi here cutting down a bulletproof samurai, as well as my long Yari Ashigaru. So no problem cutting through there. So I'll give you a quick overhead. You can see I'm winning the engagement in the middle. His Great Guard ended up being wasted. And then I reinforced with my Katana Cav and Monk Cav as well. And now that the Great Guard don't get a charge and they're engaged with spears and all that other stuff, I'm going to be able to mop up all the rest of his remaining men and have cavalry to spare. So his Great Guard cost him a lot of money and ends up getting wasted. And then in the forest, it's hard to see, but my men have basically pushed through his and defeated him. He has a Yari-Ashigaru here still, but unconcerned about a Yari-Ashigaru. My Nodachi Samurai are going to be able to chop it up. And again, you can see the terrain and the woods make his Matchlocks less effective than they would be on open ground. He does have a Nodachi Samurai coming in here, and I'm going to countercharge it with the Yari-Ashigaru and my own Nodachi, my long Yari, I should say. And I get a nice charge against it. Haven't even had to pop any bonsais yet. On this flank, my opponent sends his Naginata Samurai out trying to get to my Matchlocks. And then over here I get a cavalry free, and this cavalry is going to be able to get to his Matchlocks. Again, that impeded line of sight due to the trees saves my cavalry here, because otherwise it nearly died. And then there I did pop my first bonsai on a Nodachi that was wavering to keep in the fight. And then I broke through over here again. So I've got a Naginata Monk Cav coming through, and it's going to get a clean charge on his Matchlock Samurai. So now they're going to get destroyed, and his general has to retreat, but I've got a Katana Cavalry ready to chase down his general as well. And now that I've recaptured, or I think I recaptured, no, he took the farmhouse back from me. But I had recaptured it momentarily, but my Katana Cav's going to be able to chase down his Bojin. He doesn't have a whole lot of way to run. He probably could have gotten away a little longer, but his Bojin's not going to do well against the Katana Cav. And at this point, I've pretty much wrapped up all the rest of his infantry. His Naginata Samurai are getting shot up on the flanks out here by my Matchlocks, who otherwise didn't get a ton of kills in this battle, but delivered some morale penalties where needed. But you can see that having the shrine and being able to take advantage of my opponent with those Naginata Samurai or Naginata attendants on the flank ended up paying off here. My opponent used more expensive units in general, and so being able to have those screening units, it really helped me out. So there was one, I guess the base lesson here that I saw was that I didn't really outplay my opponent by micromanagement. I made a lot of micro mistakes in that fight. But what I did have was an army that was well suited for the position that I was in. I had more men, so it was easier for me to take control of dojos, and he had a harder time taking control of those dojos. He spent too many reinforcements taking the farmhouse back from me. And his position in the woods, although giving him cover for my Matchlock, also gives my men cover on a rush. He should have been positioned towards the edge of those woods so that his Matchlocks could have fired into the open. And then his infantry would have had more of a downhill charge from the edge of those woods as well. I did take quite a few losses, but I deployed more men than my opponent as well. And if we take a look at the unit statistics, yeah, these Nodachi getting a lot of kills here. Actually, more kills than I thought on that Matchlock Samurai. Long Yari doing really well, and I never even had it in Yari wall. Some of my Cav picking up a nice number of kills, Katana Cav as well. Didn't get to use it for what its best purpose is, but it ended up being helpful. His Great Guard might have been able to get away from my initial attack because they could have defeated my cavalry and then run away from the Nagi attendants, potentially gotten into my back lines or getting my general. So this Katana Cav ended up coming in pretty handy, and same thing with the Monk Cav, slaughtering that Matchlock. That was important. Fire Cav was worthless, wasted money because I didn't get a good charge. If we take a look at my opponent's troops, his general got the most kills out of his men, and 90 kills on a Bojin and medium funds is not bad, but probably still needs to be a little more, or it just depends on which kills it got. And you can see his Great Guard here, again, getting quite a few kills, but it was wasted against my cheaper cavalry and Naginata attendants. Yeah, let's see, his Nagi Samurai got a hold of me pretty good somewhere. This Nodachi of his did alright. Matchlock Monk's got a decent number of kills, but the rest of his guys having a hard time, I guess, being cost effective there. So this example here is why I choose not to use a bow general. Their armies are quite shaky when they get in the wrong position, and if someone rushes you, like if they get the opportunity to rush you, you can be in some serious trouble because you're not generally going to be in a good position to go into a melee engagement with a leader general. If they're playing the right retainers, and especially if they hold the shrine or the sword dojo, it's not something you want to do because your men's morale is going to be pretty shaky, and the leader general is just going to be providing a bigger morale boost. I didn't even have to use any of the leader general abilities there, so I guess it kind of gives you an example. And again, not to say that my opponent was bad, it just I saw an advantageous position and took it. And I think that that's one of the important strategies that I employ often in Total War. I may not be the best player, but sometimes I'm able to notice an advantageous scenario. Like in that case, again, it's similar to the Total War battle I played on Rome 2 not too long ago, where I screened out cavalry with my spears to get in an advantageous position. I did the same thing there, screening out cavalry with spears, meaning if they want to get into my back lines, they're going to have to take the long way around, and they're just going to have a harder time getting around my spears there. And then the Naginata attendants did a great job of minimizing the damage to my important units, while allowing me to rush into an engagement where my men would have an advantage. But hope y'all enjoyed this Throwback Thursday. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.